from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Tuesday, January 21st. Okay, so we had the moon in this Libra energy go void of course here last evening after a very difficult interaction with Mars, the god of war. And of course, that definitely put us in a particular position where we're recognizing the growing pain that we're currently going through and the struggle that we're currently having going through it. But at the same time, we were definitely gifted with a lot of time in order to think about how to create the peace, harmony, and balance, not only in our inner realms, but in our outer realms that, of course, we are craving. So we're coming into the day under the influence of this Libra moon being void of course. We have a couple of interactions taking place under that unstable emotional disposition before we lock into Scorpio energy at 11:22 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Again, may I remind you that the transition from Libra energy to Scorpio energy is always intense, always felt, and always kind of dreaded by most of the signs of the zodiac because we're moving out of the shallow end of trying to keep things happy-go-lucky, peachy keen, light and fluffy, rainbows and butterflies, to the darkness of our soul self in order to unearth and unlock the parts of self that are still alive and well and preventing us from truly aligning with our higher self. So there is going to be an emotional intensity, even more so because we are going to be hitting that last quarter moon in Scorpio. So again, if you have your manifesting moon guide in front of you, which you should, we are completing the last phase of this new moon Capricorn lunar cycle, this manifesting energy. And of course, the last quarter moon in Scorpio is going to help put into perspective what is working, what is not, what is staying, what is going, and what we need to do in order to do all of those things. With all of that being said, there are 12 different aspects taking place here today. 10 of them are going to involve the moon. We kick off the day with Mercury, ruler of the mental plane, ruler of information, communication, how it is that we express ourselves in this Capricorn energy with the blinders on, hella focused on the to-do list of what we need to do in order to wrap up the old so that we can solely focus on building towards the new. We have Mercury getting into the boxing ring, fighting out, squaring off with Chiron, the wounded healer, who of course is in Aries energy, helping us with this quote unquote identity crisis, this branding, this level up, this boss up into our higher selves. Of course, we get this square because Capricorn and Aries energy are both cardinal energies. Cardinal energies take the information that we are gifted with, understand that it is proving that a change is desperately needed, and initiate said beginning, said path, said direction to get us away from where it is that we're at and closer to where it is that we desire to be. So Mercury squaring, getting into the boxing ring, creating tension and conflict, highlighting where it is that we're going through growing pains with Chiron, the wounded healer. This is going to hurt. It's not supposed to feel good. We're going to have a negative ass narrative, a pessimistic approach, if you will. We aren't going to feel so hot. We're not going to feel so powerful. We're not going to feel so confident. Even more than that, this is really going to mess up some communication styles because we do have the tendency to be wham victimhood mentality. We're a little bit of that negative Nancy. All the mean girls are coming out to play, and that can definitely project out into the world and onto the people that we love. We are super hypersensitive to any type of judgment, any type of criticism coming our way. And even more than that, pay attention to what it is that you're casting upon other people because they too are feeling hypersensitive as well. This is going to put us in a situation to question, doubt, second guess ourselves, and some of the solutions that we were kind of, stirring with suddenly are not going to seem like solutions at all. We're having a hard time opening ourselves up to learning. We're having a hard time expressing ourselves. We're having a hard time just understanding where it is that we need to go from here. And so a dip in our confidence, in our motivation, in our will to live or even give an F about anything, definitely going to take a big L. However, we're not going to sit in that for very long. It does need to be triggered and activated though. We have the moon in Libra energy, void of course. making a very tough interaction with Jupiter, the planet of growth, expansion, beliefs, abundance, and blessings, who of course is retrograde in this Gemini energy. This is us amplifying, magnifying, over-exaggerating our anxieties, our worries, our inner dialogue, our inner narrative that we just learned from that Mercury squaring off with Chiron energy, that we're not so positive, we're not in a great place. This particular energy is going to magnify where it is that we're hella confused, where we're teeter-tottering back and forth, and where it is that we're not seeing the challenges, the obstacles in our current realm at this present moment as our option to grow, to evolve, to heal, to move on. The moon, still in this void, but still in Libra energy, going to make a very tough interaction with Neptune. Neptune, of course, rules over our dreams, spirituality, creativity, everything in our imagination, in our fantasy, in our higher selves. Neptune, of course, is in his rulership in Pisces energy, definitely bringing up all of the feels. Now, when I say to you that this is the point in time where we're all going to want to curl up in little balls and just cry ourselves to sleep, that is definitely going to be the vibe. It is an over-exaggerated state of emotion, though. So I'm not saying that your emotions don't matter or don't count. What I'm saying is that if you can recognize the intensity in which you're feeling and recognize that this too shall pass and that it is being kind of blown up to a degree that isn't rooted in reality, you're definitely going to have an easier time trying to navigate this particular wave. This is going to put us in that victimhood mentality. This is going to put us in a dissociative state where we just want to check out. We don't want to do reality at all. We're losing hope. We're losing inspiration. We're losing a lot. And although you might be rolling your eyes and saying, oh my goodness, when is this going to end? Let me just remind you that a breakdown is very much needed before a breakthrough. And we have that breakthrough energy taking place when the sun in Aquarius energy comes up to, bumps into, teams up with, conjuncts Pluto in this Aquarius energy as well. So as you well know, the conjunction energy is just as much of an ending as it is a beginning. And what is ending is that old ass negative, afraid, and anxious type of narrative. What we are beginning is a boss up energy where solutions, thinking outside of the box, problem solving is the name of the game. Pluto, of course, helps us to boss up, take power and control not only over our own damn selves, but over the aspects in our physical realm that could potentially help us align with this goal, this vision, this dream that, of course, we are just trying to manifest. Because this sun energy is over the physical body, there is high probability that the electricity in which I spoke about in the ascension forecast for this week is going to be poppin'. This particular energy is showing us where it is that hidden powers within ourselves, hidden strengths, hidden confidences, let's call it, are coming out to play. We are building ourselves up in a much better way than we fell apart in. Yes, this is heavy. Yes, this is weighted. Yes, this is the breakthrough energy we've been waiting for, and it is going to take a little bit of time to actually settle in, feel as comfortable as we need it to be. The moon, still void, of course, still in this Libra energy, going to make a very tough interaction with that North Node in Pisces energy. And of course, that North Node trying to get us on the right path, trying to get us in alignment with our new mission, new goals. And in Pisces energy, this is about believing in something greater, trusting in something greater, leaning into spiritual practices, forgiving oneself, having empathy and compassion, not only for oneself, but for the people, for the world around us. This is about our spiritual evolution. The moon, making a not so nice interaction with this North Node, is putting us in a situation where we're clamming up. We don't want to do the spiritual journey. We don't care about healing. We don't care about growing and evolving. We want to pout. We want to cry. We want to whine. Now, this too shall pass because at 11:22 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, the moon will be shifting into Scorpio energy, throwing you into the depths of your soul space to understand where it is that wham victimhood mentality needs to be analyzed. We have to unearth it. We have to understand where it came from. We have to realize where it's preventing us from bossing up, being in power, being in control, and actually being the creator of our realities. We have the moon in Scorpio, making a very uncomfortable interaction with Saturn, the Lord of Karma, who of course is in Pisces energy. When water on water action takes place and it's not in a favorable type of aspect, things get choppy. And I want you to think about being out in the middle of the ocean, having those choppy ass waves where essentially you're sitting in the perfect storm. We need the emotions to reach a stormy point in order for us to truly appreciate when that storm breaks. And while that storm is raging, we are going to see parts of self, fears, doubts, and insecurities rise to the surface of our awareness, where then we have the choice to either sit in it, cry about it, or boss up and do something with it. Now, this isn't supposed to feel good. It's not going to feel good. We have a lot to learn here today, especially because the moon in Scorpio gets into the boxing ring, squares off with first Pluto, who rules over the Scorpio energy, because of course Pluto is in Aquarius energy, and Scorpio and Aquarius energy square each other. So we're being highlighted to where it is that we have a choice to be the wah crying little ball of goo, or we have to boss up, where we can level up, where we can change and transform into this warrior type of spirit and actually do something about it. But of course, the moon in the Scorpio energy gets into the boxing ring, squares off with the sun in Aquarius. That gives us our last quarter moon in Scorpio. So again, bust out that manifesting guide. This is a very, very important chapter. The last quarter moon of any lunar cycle is going to illuminate, again, what is working, what is not, what we want, what we don't, what we need to do in order to eliminate and release the aspects of life that, again, are blocking us from actually going after what it is that I have now identified we want. Now, in that, Scorpio energy is the death, the ending, the closure needed in order for us to rise up, resurrect, renew ourselves. And that is how a major change, major transformation happens to our soul and spirit. The moon and the sun coming together in any kind of interaction going to be profound with the aha moments, with the light bulb moments. We're going to figure out what we want, need, and desire, and we're going to figure out how we can go about doing that. Because this is the square, because it's highlighting tension, we're learning this, we're gaining this clarity through a tough emotional battle. The good news is the moon in Scorpio energy then makes a very positive interaction with Neptune in Pisces energy. I'll give you the timestamp, 6:52 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Why? Because that is the point in the day where everything shifts. The bulk of the day up until this point, very challenging, very triggering, very activating for good reason. That is the breakdown energy. 6:52 p.m. when the moon in Scorpio and Neptune and Pisces come together, this is water on water action. This is going to cleanse us from the junk, from the gunk earlier on in the day. This is going to purify our emotions and our headspace. This is going to refresh, renew our soul and spirit, and remind us of why we're on this journey and what it is that we're fighting for. This is when we gain a huge, let's call it renewal, in hopes, wishes, and dreams. This is when we gain intuitive guidance and insight on how to go from where it is that we're at to where it is that we desire to be. Now, the moon in Scorpio is then going to make a very tough interaction with Venus, the goddess of love, beauty, worth, pleasure, and money, also in this Pisces energy. Reason being, we recognize who needs to go. We recognize what needs to die. We recognize what we have to put behind us. And Venus, of course, because she's in this I'm in love with love romanticizing state, she sees the rainbows and butterflies, the potentiality, even when it isn't there. The moon in Scorpio knows better. We're rooted in intuition. We're rooted in reality. We know what has to end and die. We know who has to stay. We know who has to go. So triggering the heart space, again, huge heart activation with Venus here. There is an element where we're resisting, even listening to the part of self that is telling us to draw the line between us and the people that we have outgrown. The moon is then going to make a beautiful interaction with that North Node in Pisces. So this is like us getting over our own damn selves. This is us realizing where it is that we're the problem, resisting making the changes and cutting the people off that, again, are not part of our next path in our journey. And this is us realizing, because of the renewal of the strength of our intuition, that we are on the right path and that we are doing the right thing that just happens to be the hard thing to help free us up to move on and move forward to create the dream life that we know we want, that we know we deserve, that we know that we desire, that we have to start actually putting the pieces together and bringing to life. The last thing that we got going on here today is the moon in Scorpio energy, making a beautiful interaction with Jupiter, the planet of growth, expansion, beliefs, abundance, blessings. He's retrograde, looking back, reassessing, revisiting, reflecting. And in Gemini energy, this has everything to do with our headspace. We know better. We have to do better. We have been in this situation before, holding on to dead weight and people, places, and things that are no longer meant for us. We have learned this particular tough love life lesson before. Why are we failing to integrate what it is that we've learned? This is a major growth, major change, major transformation, not only in our heart space, but in our head space. We are much more optimistic, much more confident in knowing what needs to be done and actually feeling well equipped and well prepared to do it. And from this particular point, we're starting to see the forest past the trees, and we're starting to get very excited about what that forest actually has to offer.